So, guys, I just ordered my Steam Deck yesterday, and with that in mind, I've my first choice is actually a an indie game for you, right? And the category, of course, is lots of you are searching for small indie games, and this is definitely the definition of small indie game. It is published by the very famous Tiny Bolt Games. Um, you might remember them. I guess the first Tiny Bolt game I played was like a train game on the iPad. Oh, must have been like 5, 6, 7 years ago when I first got the original large screen iPad, the 12.9 inch. And it was just a cool train game. But Tiny Bolt is a publisher which basically publishes tiny, small indie game studios. They're not as well known as Devolver Digital, of course, or Annapurna Interactive, but they still make some really good games. So, what is the game? It is I Am Future Cozy Apocalypse Survival. I feel like we might have talked about this at one point with like a potential indie game or something like that, and it was in early access, so it just released literally 5 days ago on November 15th. And basically, it's a combination of My Time at Sandrock, it's a combination of Valheim, it's a combination of a bunch of different games set in a post apocalyptic world. But there's like none of the stress that you typically have, right? Where, like in Valheim, I remember when you start off, like you can get killed like in the first 10 minutes because if you just walk too far away from the initial save zone, they're like, hey, here's a tiny little goblin. Oh my God, it's going to be easy. Once hit and you're dead, right? That's it. Like, um, so this game, there aren't enemies, but they're more along the lines of like pests and sort of stuff you have to keep away from your crops as you're farming. So they're pests like that. But overall, this game is just along the lines of go into this place, right? It's like My Time at Sandrock, My Time at Portia. You're making stuff, you're doing farming. The one unique thing that I like about this that I guess will be in My Time at Evershine is the idea of automation. So if you're familiar with the game like Satisfactory or Factorio, right? Those are the games that took this sort of like survival element. There's a whole bunch more, like Dyson Sphere is another one, uh, where you had the ability to say, okay, I get to a point in the game, and instead of having to manually harvest my crops, right? Instead of to manually do these things, I have robots or other sort of automation mechanisms in order to do that. So you can automate the stuff. And again, if you want to, because some people do like to wake up in the morning and go and pluck the turnips and water the corn and that sort of stuff, right? But in some people don't. And this gives you the option. And I like that in this sort of survival game. Another cool thing about this as well is the art. I love the color palette, less so the art style. It reminds me of cell shaded stuff, like what is that like adventure game people like X13 or something, or was like 13 was the game? I can't remember the game. But I'm not a big fan of cell shaded art. It kind of looks like that, a little bit janky, but it is very colorful. It is very beautiful. You'll see lots of greens. You'll see sort of like a positive post-apocalyptic world, for lack of a better word. That being said, right, so this game does look really wonderful. It is also at a cheap price. It's about $10 at the moment, depending where you're looking. So maybe 10 to 15 if you're on the US store. It is Steam Deck verified as well, which is one of the reasons I was looking at this. So what that means is this reminds me of a conversation Adam and I had with our cohort, Iris Nicole, who was playing Project Hospital at the time on the Switch. And the problem she had was like the text is so tiny. And if you're somebody who's considering a device, right, one of the things about Steam Deck verified on the Steam store, it says like, yes, you can read the text in this game, which is wonderful. Especially if you're like me, who I've realized while I have a big TV and I can game in front of it, I don't like sitting in front of the TV. And the TV, sitting in front of the TV and sitting in front of a monitor is pretty much the same feeling. I want to sit on my nice comfy chair or the sofa or in bed and play my games. So you do want text to be legible. So yeah, that is it. Another potential Steam Deck game. I'll be talking more about these as we go in the future. My Steam Deck will arrive in about 2 weeks or so. Let me know what you think. Are you excited? Are you looking forward to like a non-stressful game? Because I'm looking forward to that.